What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast. We have Logan Bravard with us from Coldwellbanker Realty. Logan, thanks so much for taking time, out of your day today to just jump on here with us and to really just talk about sharing your journey into becoming a real estate agent.
Likewise. Thank you.
We've been social media friends for, a while now, and I always enjoy having people on that, maybe, we're not connected on a more deeper, meaningful level, because I get to honestly learn from you and about you as we go through. But, Logan, on the Tell Me More podcast, it's all about sharing your journey, right? And showing other agents, in our marketplace or in other markets that are listening in, that there's not one path to being a real estate agent, and there's not one way to be successful in this business. I believe that there's plenty of ways to be successful in this business, and I think sometimes, and I don't know about your thoughts on this, but I think sometimes there's this narrative that you have to be on social media, or you have to do, for sale by owners and expired calls, or you have to door knock, all of these have tos. So I'm glad that you're on. I'm excited to dive into your journey and learn a little bit more about you. And we always start from growing up. We always go way back from the beginning, right? What was life like for you growing up?
So my dad has owned businesses most of my life. So when I was in sixth grade, he started his own or his first business, which was a pre-press typesetting company. So that's what he did my entire childhood. So he was a workaholic. So he would take me into the office and like on a Saturday, and I remember just, having the office to me and him, and I'd go play around, and just watching him be a workaholic is how childhood really was. But he was always there for sporting events, never missed those. Was always home in time to do the tuck-ins and the kisses and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how I was raised. My dad was a workaholic. But in sixth grade, when he started his own business, that workaholic potential turned into, a future sale. So he sold that business some years later, and then bought a liquor store. And at the time, I was at OSU, and he was in his third year of the liquor store, and I had the opportunity, because I was on my third year at OSU, I had the opportunity to work with him. I went through my childhood really quick. I'm already like a college kid now at this point. Had a real quick childhood, really fast. Yeah, I could go back to the childhood stuff, but yeah, I ended up working for his liquor store.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did you have any hobbies, interests, anything like that growing up?
No, I was kind of a only child. My sister was 10 years older than me, so when she moved out at 18, I was 8. So essentially just had like an only child lifestyle. I had all the attention, all the food was about me. Nintendo was big, so that was my life. But yeah, I had neighborhood friends. I was just a kid back when being a kid was without technology other than Nintendo.
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you from here, from Central Ohio?
Yeah, I'm Gahanna, born and raised. Yeah.
Okay.
I live in New Albany now, so.
Awesome. Did business interest you as you grew up, and seeing your dad in that position of being an entrepreneur and running his own businesses? Was that always a career path for you, or
no? So I talk about in my consultations that ignorance is not bliss. But I have referenced when I bought my first house in 2009, ignorance was bliss for me. Literally, my dad called me. I was like 28 or 29. He called me. At the time, he was in Las Vegas. He'd already sold his liquor store and kind of semi-retired out there. He said, "It's about time for you to buy a house. I'm going to have my real estate agent call you." I said, "Okay, Dad." The next day, the guy called, booked a meeting with me to go to Panera Bread. And that was just the start of it. It was just ignorance was bliss for me. So, I mean, I worked for my dad at his liquor store. And when the time came for him to part ways and move to Vegas, I didn't even realize alcohol sales jobs were a job. I didn't really have any. I was a business major, a music major, and an art major at OSU. So as a kid, I didn't have any. I'm going to be this when I grow up, and I was just kind of like floating. So really, I started to become a real adult because of real estate. You know, becoming a fiduciary and actually putting people before yourself. Um, you know, realizing I'm in this really important position for people. I was always really good in sales, but sales is just customer service. So, yeah, essentially, I'm just here. I feel like I'm on God's journey and God's path. I didn't expect to be here or how I got here at all. So,
Yeah, yeah, and we'll definitely touch on the real estate side. I want to go to the college side. You said you had three different majors that you,
mm-hmm.
you did on when you're at OSU. Um, I'm assuming ended up graduating.
No, no, my dad. So, I was a C student for sure all throughout
Yeah,
high school. Didn't really care. High school for me was just fun. It was sports and people. And then when college came around, my dad, being the smart person that he was, said, "You should live at home with me," because I couldn't get into OSU main campus. I got into OSU Newark. So he said, "Live at home with me. You'll get good grades, and it'll be easier for you." And what do you know? I made the merit roll for the first time in my life in college, and I just was dedicated, and I wasn't partying and having too much fun. I was having fun, but not too much fun. And then when I went to main campus sophomore year, that's when I realized I couldn't keep up in business. I'm not smart like these other people are. So I switched to something I enjoy, which was art. And then I couldn't keep up with art because I actually had a bad scheduling decision. I just scheduled two history of art classes at the same time and started to fail both of those. So I switched majors to music. I actually got into the School of Music for voice, but couldn't sight read. I just I had the talented singing voice, but I just did everything through memorization. So once I realized that college was not for me at this time in life, I asked my dad if I could stop going to college, like it was his decision. And he's like, "You can take a break and you can come work for me at the liquor store. I'll pay you $32,000 a year." It's like he already knew that this day was coming because it all happened. Like he knew exactly how much he was going to pay me. And for a 22-year-old, yeah, making $32,000 a year, that was like a lot of money. So yeah, worked for him at the liquor store for a couple years, and then applied to all the different distributorships that I knew about, and Heidelberg Distributing was the first one to call me, and the rest was that. The rest was history as far as like going into sales and trying to get a route, trying to be the best, out of all the other salespeople, and competition really became my adult work ethic. It was just like anywhere I was at, there was some reason to compete, something to challenge myself to go for. Um, and then real estate was like that too. So
yeah. It's funny because you mentioned not getting into Ohio State. I wasn't able to get into main campus either, and I also went to OSU Newark, and it was also the best GPA I
nice.
ever had in college. So,
It was awesome. Yeah, I really liked it out there. What
yeah,
year did you go there?
that would have been 2007. So
Okay.
fall
Yeah.
2007 going into 2008.
Yeah,
But
I was
so
like, where's this coming from? This is awesome.
so you end up not graduating, going into the family business, right? Working at the liquor store, that ends up being sold, and now you're kind of doing more of distribution sales, right? Was sales
Yep.
something? And I think you mentioned earlier that sales was kind of always kind of like a strong suit for you because it's just customer service is just people. Um, Lead me up to the point of when you were getting ready to make that decision to go into real estate. How long were you doing the distribution
Um,
sales, and then when did you decide
yeah.
that real estate was your next move?
Well, I kind of got forced into it because I ended up getting let go at Heidelberg Distributing. I was with them for 13 years, 10 of which I was a sales rep. And out of 3 of those years, or 3 of the 7 years, I was salesman of the year. So I got promoted to manager. And I quit drinking. Right as soon as I got promoted, I stopped drinking. I got baptized, stopped drinking, said I was going to quit for 40 days, and it just kept going. So now I'm this guy in a distributing company that doesn't even drink the products that he's selling. A little awkward. And then from there, just kind of like I felt myself being definitely me wanting to be not there anymore, not wanting to socialize, not wanting to. I mean, from being a 20-something-year-old kid, being in the alcohol business, that's a pretty cool job. So when I left my dad's liquor store at night, I would leave there with craft beer and go hang out with my friends, and making $32,000 a year it was really cool. And then when I got a job at Heidelberg, I actually made less than 32,000, but every Friday we're trying new wines and new craft beers, and as a 20-something-year-old, that's a really cool job too. So eventually, time goes by, and I'm not even a consumer of these products. I still had a lot of passion for training people, or trying to train people. Um, Management's not necessarily been my strongest suit, because I'm kind of like a do it myself, do it my way type A kind of guy, which I got from my dad. My dad's a workaholic, perfectionist, even though that's ridiculous to shoot for. But I don't know. There's always something like competing that makes you want to do something better than the last time you did it. But every time I start answering your question, I'm like, what was the question? I keep going on for so long that I don't even remember your question from the
No, just lead
beginning.
me up to that moment of time when real estate is kind of the next direction. You mentioned that you were getting laid off, I
Oh,
believe.
yes. So I got let go of Heidelberg. Yeah. So I really wanted to quit Heidelberg Distributing. I looked probably solid for a year while I was in management, and just no doors were opening. So I figured that was just God saying you're going to stay put here. So during that 3-year process, within that time period, we ended up doing Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. So we had 6 months worth of expenses. So literally, I could have no job, and 6 months later, we'd still be okay in theory, right? So um, when that week that I got let go happened, um, I called my wife and said, "This is what happened," and she was so calm and so reserved, and she said, "That's okay. Now you can start your cleaning company, and we have 6 months worth of expenses." So I always saw my dad as an entrepreneur, and then when I started in sales at Heidelberg, um, I always said to myself, well, "There's one day in Las Vegas where I was drinking with him in the pool." And thinking to myself, my dad has got this situation for us from owning his own business, doing hard work that nobody else is willing to do. Because if you want to be a business owner, you have to work from 7 in the morning till 7:30 at night, because that's what I saw, 6 days a week. Um, and then I said to myself, well, I could do that. I could just be a cleaner, because my very first job ever was a dishwasher. So I said, I know how to do that. I don't have to be a brain surgeon to know that if you wipe something, the dirty is gone, and now there's clean, and now it reveals all the dirty. Make sure all the dirty's gone, and then the job's done. Simple. So in my mind, I said, I'm going to start my own cleaning company. I got to have my own pool someday so that I can sit in my pool and think, this is because I own businesses. Well, Salesman of the Year started to happen. So I didn't get it the first year that it came out, but I said, well, I've got to get Salesman of the Year. And then I ended up getting it, and not getting it the next year, but then getting it again, and then getting it again the following year. So back to back years on quota items, which I think is pretty sweet. So there's always something that kept pulling me away from that vision of having my own business. Um, but then when the day came that, hey, I've got 6 months worth of try something, and so that day I got let go. I went to the library, stayed in the library, figured out what I needed to do to get unemployment, and then I got unemployment, which made me tear up and cry, because I realized that was them, the government, saying I didn't let go for a reason. There was no reason, so it was
Right.
unjustified. But yeah, for being with the company for 13 years, it was like being dumped out into the deep end, and then now I'm going to become a business owner, right? So about 3 weeks into the cleaning company, my wife was talking about me behind my back, and didn't like me working with the chemicals. So her mom or sorry, grandma ended up saying, well, my brother-in-law was a real estate agent. Logan would be a good one. And she paid for me to go to real estate school at Hondros. So the $1,500 for that in the 3 weeks straight, because I had the time to do it. 3 weeks later, I've got the test scheduled. So it just seems like for the last 7 years, like it's just been, I don't know what's next. Whatever is next is next. And then tackle it or accomplish it with the highest level of fiduciary care and concern. I drink the Kool-Aid, so I would have probably never left my dad's, but I did. And then Heidelberg, probably, you know, if I was still drinking, I probably would have wanted to be there forever. It was a great company. But yes, and I'm just kind of floating around doing what God wants me to do. And honestly, John, it's like the market has changed so much that, you know, in 2018, I sold 35 houses. And now Zillow says I've sold 9 in the last 12 months. So, I mean, it's a different world out there
Yeah.
compared to when I first started. So at least now I
Yeah.
can say I've seen 2 different markets,
Yeah.
high
And
interest
definitely,
rate markets and low.
yeah. And definitely want to touch on that here in a second. You know, when you got into the business, it was just that, right? Like just, hey, I think you'd be good at it, and I paid for your classes, and here's just the kind of the next thing. You didn't really have. Did you have an interest in real estate at all? Like, was it on your
Uh,
radar?
yeah. So I found an old journal that I had bought. I usually do those like Lexington 1970, whatever those are. I found an old one, and it was while I was at Heidelberg, probably daydreaming about owning a cleaning company. I wrote down in that, research how to become a realtor. And I spelled realtor wrong. I spelled it, oh, I totally botched it. But then underneath that, it says, looked into it, decided it's too difficult. I don't remember the year, but I said, oh, okay, I guess I didn't remember any of that. I didn't remember writing it down but there it was. And now I'm reading it. And here I am, a real estate agent reading it. I thought that was really cool. So no, it wasn't on my radar. I feel like nothing's on my radar anymore. After I got baptized and just gave my life to God, it's just whatever the next thing is. I don't know. It's hard to think like it wasn't on
Yeah.
my radar. Sorry.
Yeah. No, and then, you know, when you got into the business, I mean, I know you said you went through Dave Ramsey, in his program, but did you have any doubters as far as, why are you doing real estate, or did you have a lot more of the supporters on your side?
No, no doubters for sure. It was just so fast. It was like I was all in on creating. Actually, I don't have it with me. Yeah, here it is. Oh, that's okay. So this was the binder that you might not be able to see it because of the
Oh,
background thing. But
yeah.
anyway, I was all in on like figuring out how to start a cleaning business. So I was all in on like figuring out how to do my own thing, but it was faking it. I was literally like pretending to be a business owner. It felt so weird because I knew I wasn't a business owner. I was just a guy that started a cleaning company, started a painting company, you know. But Blessed Businesses LLC is the LLC I created that day at the library. I don't know why I picked Blessed Businesses plural, but I've definitely incorporated many businesses into my real estate business. So that's been nice at times. You know, it's just these things have presented themselves. Like I never thought I would be a. I did think I'd be a cleaning company owner, but I never thought I'd be a painting company owner. Painted Blessings is my DBA for that, but I don't, you know, advertise or spend money on it or try to do it just if I did it for a client or something like that. But it's led to other business
Yeah.
and just people hearing about me and knowing how to paint and knowing
Yeah.
how to be a good painter.
Well, it's interesting because I think, and I talked to someone about this about a week and a half ago, and I think, you know, what I like about your story is your willingness and openness to look at other avenues, right? To do different things. And I think a lot of real estate agents, we struggle with this, I don't know if it's an identity crisis, but this identity of, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a realtor, right? I can't, I can't sway from that. Where,
Yeah.
you seem to just go through your career and through your life of like, whatever that next opportunity is, I'm going to explore it. I'm going to look into it. It may not be the right thing, but it's here. Right. And I think that's awesome
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
you know, I was someone that went through college and then I just jumped into real estate, and real estate's all I know. Right. Like, and now that I've been in it for a while, I'm like, okay, now let's start, figuring out some other things. Can we do some different businesses and still be, in verticals around real estate, kind of like what you're doing, right? With cleaning, with painting
Hmm.
and all of those things. So I love that you kind of have that willingness to stay open minded and just to kind of see what's next.
Well, it all happened based on like ego, really. I mean, so like the very first listing I ever had, I charged 7%, so 4%, which was 1% more. That's just what I was told that Coldwell Banker did. So I just went in naive, like, okay, we're 7%, which is typically more expensive and rare as heck now. But I said, for this 1% more, I'm going to power wash your house. Your driveway needs it. I'm going to power wash the outside. Um, and I'm going to clean on the inside. And because you need paint done, I will be your general contractor. And I had 7 different paint quotes. I told them all the same thing, and it went $1,500 to $4,500 for the same thing. So I picked the one kind of in the middle, it was like $2,000. And then I had to walk around and like put blue tape up on the walls where it was a bad job. And I just said to myself pretty quickly, I'm not going to refer people out in this industry if my name's associated with it. So in the beginning, I've never fired somebody a day in my life, but in the beginning of real estate, I fired lender after lender after lender. I got the next used car salesman lender, and then the next used car salesman lender, and then the next fake talk used car salesman lender. And yeah, so you just end up firing people um, basically by omission. You just don't call them again. But there's a lot of people out there that just well, I know you mentioned doing other things. So in the very beginning, I was very cognizant that if people wanted a real estate agent, they'd want a full-time real estate agent, especially not a rookie part-time agent. Who would want a rookie part-time agent to help them? So I knew I had to be full-time. And I told my broker, I have a cleaning company, which I never, had. But he's like, don't, Newton Burris, by the way, he's awesome. He's like, don't focus on that right now. Just focus all of your attention on real estate. And I know that that is going to be where you get the best return for your investment. And I said, okay, I trust you. And then 9 months rolls around. And at 9 months, I'm like, okay, I've got my systems and processes pretty much in place to where I feel like I could take on another thing, because it would give me anxiety if I couldn't do, you know, the highest levels of fiduciary care. So anyway, yeah, I started putting feelers out there and just letting people know that I could clean. And but overall, I'd much rather be a real estate agent than a cleaning company owner.
Yeah.
I'd much rather have the business full-time real estate because I don't know, it's the most joy and it's the biggest financial decision. And it's not about the money; it's about like the trust. Like I get paid in like attaboys and thank yous and kudos, and like I really appreciate you, because most people don't um, go that. I mean, do you get a lot of closing gifts
Right.
as a real estate agent, or are you giving the closing gifts? When they're giving you a gift, you're like, oh my gosh, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, that's a good, I think that is a great uh, measuring stick, right? How great is your customer service, and making your clients feel special, and advising them, the right way is, the closing gifts, right? Um, Logan, what year did you get licensed?
2016,
2016.
July 2016.
So let's walk through early, early days, struggles, success. Walk me through kind of that first 12 months, 24 months. How did you focus on the business? Where did your business come from? did you hit the ground running and have instant, clients and sales, or was it a struggle?
Well, I definitely hit the ground workaholicing. I was like, okay, we're starting a business, Esther, and we know that business entrepreneurs have to like work all the time. So I'll see you later. And basically, she was on board with that. I mean, she was a stay-at-home mom that last 2 years while I was a manager at Heidelberg. So she was used to being a stay-at-home mom, and I was basically she was on board. She trusted me. Like it was the scariest time ever to have 6 months worth of savings, to not have any other job as far as income goes, because I wasn't part timing this and trying to be a real estate agent. It was, I'm going to be a real estate agent. So I didn't sell my first house until month 4. And we only had $1,200 left in the bank at that point. So really it was pretty scary. All I did was just have faith in God. And then from there, it was great. Business just came.
And did
And
you?
yeah, for that first year, I sold 17 houses, and the average first year sells 4, I think.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. How did that happen? Um, part of it was I was texting everybody all the time, Facebooking all the time, because everybody said you got to do X. I mean, I bought into Coldwell Banker day one because as a Heidelberg employee, the suppliers would come in 9 months out of the year, October, November, and December. They left us alone because we were too busy selling their alcoholic beverages. So for 9 months out of the year, I don't know how many Fridays that is, 1 to 3 to 5 suppliers would come in, and they would put a PowerPoint presentation on the board, on the wall, and they would show 100 plus salespeople whatever they wanted to show us so that we knew what we had to know so that we could sell their products. And you'd see some really bad, boring PowerPoints, and then you'd see some really great ones, some of the top notch ones, because they have millions of dollars of marketing people behind it. And then obviously, when we're figuring out what brokerage we want to work with, we're interviewing brokerages, and the PowerPoint presentation that they put out for me for Coldwell Banker at the time, King Thompson, I just was blown away. It was like one of the best that I've seen in 13 years worth of supplier and PowerPoint presentations. I've seen quite a bit of sales pitches. So yeah, it just hit home there. So I knew I was in the right place to learn. I knew I needed to learn all this stuff, right? Because all these things I didn't know. Like as soon as you're in real estate school, and a lot of people space it out, but I did it 3 weeks straight. I realized really quickly, like this is scary stuff. This is important stuff. There's all these laws and ways to get sued, and I just was like, "What am I doing? This is scary." And I found out that first week that real estate agents are the 3 least trusted professions in all of industry. I'm like, great. All right. So, all right. Got to be a part of changing that. So, but when it rolls down to it, it's just like, who's going to give me the most tools so that I can give the most value? And sell sheets give value. Like if you don't know the process, so like this is you probably can't see it again, but this is my 3-inch binder. It's pretty
Yeah.
big for my consultations. My consultations last 3 or 4 hours because I role play through everything. Because in the beginning, I would take any client and I would let them be in charge of the process, and instead of just the decisions. And I would not be in control. So I didn't know how to fix their problems or be of value to them because it was just a chaos situation or out of control. So now I just lay out everything up front, give them everything that my brain thinks they need. Yeah, it takes hours and it's boring and long. You're going to yawn probably, but then from there, you're able to go out and be successful. So I was successful in the beginning. I would give that credit to God because I don't know how I sold 17 my first year. And then the next year I sold 25, and then I sold 27 or 35. I can't remember, but 35 probably went then to 27, then 20, and then like only 12 last year. So, but I did, when COVID happened, I lost my workaholic addiction. So like God really stripped me of that. It was just all about family. So I spent a lot of time being with family. So
Yeah.
it
You know,
gets to that point where you say, well, I don't have to do X, Y, Z. but you probably should do XYZ, because if you do XYZ, you don't probably go down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm blaming the interest rates, not my lack of workaholism. But if you're in front of people, essentially it's a popularity contest, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be popular for the last 3 years. I wanted to be home with my family. I didn't
Yeah.
want people to know that I'm out there breaking records. I even stopped marketing closings. I used to take pictures of every single closing. I stopped doing everything because I didn't want to be popular. I just wanted to be there for the people and focus on my family, and God would provide everything else. But in the beginning, I did all those things, and my business was beneficial from it. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
One of the things that you mentioned is it took, I think this is where, because I'm passionate about helping new people get into the business, right?
I
Like,
see that. I know that.
I believe that, our failure rate doesn't need to be what it is, right? That more people that can come into this business could have more success. They just sometimes go to the wrong situations. And I'll touch on yours, with your PowerPoint here in a second, why I think that's important, but the first 4 months was you building up the momentum in the business. And then the last 8 months, you did 17 deals. Right. And I think a lot of people get into this industry, they just think that it's going to be easy and they're going to have instant, real estate success because everyone needs to buy a home. Right. I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy. But, I just wanted to highlight that real quick because it was 4 months of pain and struggle and focus and everything that it took. And then, once you get that momentum going, it then starts to compound, right, over time, as long as you stay consistent with it. And it's interesting that you brought up, from your previous career, being able to see, what's a great presentation and a PowerPoint, right? And that's kind of what sealed the deal when it came to picking the brokerage for you. But, as real estate agents in this market, I try to tell everyone that buyer consultation, that listing presentation, like, you have to know your stuff. It has to be dialed in. It has to be, repeatable. And if you don't have that in today's market, you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities, and your conversion percentage is going to be a lot less, because that does matter. Something small like that of how you present it and all of those things, it truly matters in this type of market.
Couldn't agree more. Yep. I was so rusty getting back into it because I was sitting there. I was like, wow, I haven't done a consultation in forever. And I felt the rust. It was there, very tangible. So,
well, it's one of those things where, look, we, all of us agents got fat and lazy during the last, 2-3 years, right? We all let things slip and, go away from, the fundamentals of, being a real estate agent. And just, our market was moving so quick. Agents were moving so quick, trying to help our clients and do the best that we could for them. And, things just started to fall off, right? But now, the market's still moving, but now the education piece is more important, because back 18 months, 24 months ago, it was easy to have a conversation. Hey, I have a ton of equity in my home. Let's sell. Oh, hey, I can get, a 3% interest rate. Okay, cool. Let's buy. Right. I mean,
yeah,
it was the conversation was easy to be had. The difficult was like, okay, do you have any extra money or not? Right. Like, that was the conversation. Hey, if you don't have appraisal gap, then, you're probably not buying right now. But now, that consultation to be able to educate, of what's going on and interest rates and, what all does this mean, and, the strategy and all of that is so important.
Psychological warfare. I mean, it's like if our clients aren't ready to make decisions, they won't, or they'll make negative thoughts, at least, because if they don't have the information, they're going to make up whatever story they want in their head, and it's usually negative. So, yeah, my thing is all about the no regrets decision. I really want the people, whomever I work with, and if I'm representing a listing, I want the buyer's agent to know that I want their buyer to make their no regrets decision. It should not be like a end of the world thing if you don't get the house, but it should be a really easy decision. The scales need to be really, not back and forth, because then you don't have enough information. There's something missing, and it's just not going to be, you're not going to see it it's not going to move forward. You're not going to have it. But whatever the decision is, it needs to be a no regrets decision. And you can't come to a no regrets decision in a fast market if you haven't already role played that situation, because they're just going to be in that, oh, I got to make a decision too quickly, I'm not ready. And then you're not in control of the process. They're in control of the process because you omitted the process from them as far as what to expect, or the FAQs. So that's why it takes so long. These consultations are so worth it, because then, you know, my clients are the ones that beat out the ones that aren't using the tips and tricks that I'm suggesting, or getting them ready to do what's necessary. They don't have to do what's necessary, but at least they know what is necessary, or what potentially is necessary.
Yeah.
It's all about just explaining all the different roads and letting them decide which road they want to drive down, and then you're going to ride right with them in shotgun, and it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. None of our clients should be surprised as to what's going on in the marketplace when they're writing offers, right? I mean, we should have already had that conversation, exhausted all the questions, and, you know, answered any, you know, pain points that they may have around, you know, what's happening in the marketplace. You know, that's why the consultation is so important. Logan, I wanted to kind of pivot, you know, the conversation a little bit and start looking kind of more into the future of kind of where you want to go with your business. What's something that you're looking to accomplish here in the next 12 months?
Well, to be honest with you, I really liked when I sold 35 houses. That was obviously the most money I ever made, but I've really liked only selling 12 houses in the one last year. My work-life balance is phenomenal, and to the point where if I leave for like any brief amount of time, it's like, you know, oh, I appreciate that they want to be around me and they love me. And, but at the same time, daddy does want to provide a good living for you. And if daddy wants to provide a really good living for you, daddy's got to be away and do XYZ. So, with that being said, I'm pretty comfortable with not marketing myself in real estate like I did in the first 2-3 years, because it makes me a little uncomfortable to market myself. I just really feel like I am would be preferred to get all my business from that which I did not have to solicit for, because it is a popularity contest. And like, frankly, I give a lot of information right on that 3.5-inch book. I feel like that is maybe something I'd be more willing to do, is like videos and stuff, and break down this consultation so that it is tangible for somebody, because I still want to get the information out there. That's part of like the consultations, like where I get like kind of like the most happy, I think, throughout the process. If we get them under contract, really happy. If we sell for record price, really happy. Multiple offers, really happy. But the consultation, like, oh, well, okay, you got me really. I actually would rather than be like, oh, now I've got a lot to think about, because that means they weren't thinking about it. And now I've done what I needed to do so that they can end up making those no regret decisions, so they can drive down one of those paths that I hope that they go down. Because if they just stand there and they don't go, then that's my fault. So, yeah. What else? Well, I don't remember your
What,
question again.
what in the next 12 months, anything that you're
12
looking
months.
to
Okay.
specifically do?
So, brief history, business started to slow down, and I blamed it all on the rates, right? So I said, well, I got to do something. And I did not, in the last 7 years, I've never had a real job other than real estate agent. So I just got on Indeed and started looking around, and I saw this job for a distributing company, a family-owned small distributing company that sells juice. And I worked with them, got the job, worked with them for 4 months, and realized that I really want to be back in this industry again. I really love working with business to business people that took the risk and started their own carry out, you know, wine store, whatever it is. There's a million different small business owned shops out there. And I would love to be able to be my own boss in that. I've got 13 years. I've been in the industry of distributing longer than real estate, 13 to 7. So it just really fueled my passion again for wanting to do that. So I started my own distributing company, again, faking it. But I went to the government business site. I'm brain farting on what that is, but downloaded, got the LLC. So my company's called Sunny Distributing LLC. I thought maybe I could email out to Sunny Delight and get some of their business. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do next. I want to take a big risk and venture out into something that I think would be very profitable for me and my family, but then for a lot of other people. So it's just kind of one of those things. I don't want to push people in this high interest rate market to date the rate. You can refinance whenever. I mean, yeah, that's a marketing spiel for, hey, I'm still in the industry. If you're going to decide to do that, pick me. I'm not out there like that. I don't want to do that. I just want to help people if they have to move or thinking about selling. I want to help them make their decisions, right? So
Yeah.
I just don't see the business there for me like it was when everybody and their brother could have a life upgrade for no cost. Now they can have a life downgrade for a cost. That's going to take a very big chunk of the properties off the market, and they're going to continue to keep the market the way it is, which is under housed, and still we're in Columbus. So
Yeah.
we're a great place to be. The last listing I had, condo in Westerville Schools, and in like 48 hours, we had 12 scheduled showings. Nothing after that, nothing. So all the serious buyers were on it right away within the first 48 hours. And yeah, they got multiple offers still. So in contract with a backup offer, and the seller needed time to find suitable housing. So it's still a seller's market more than a buyer's market. And the fact that, if there's that many people still out there competing for a condo that has $271 a month association dues, and it's still going to be $160,000 a year at that rate, there's that many people still that can afford that, then,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe that's just a lower price point. And I don't know. It just feels like a tougher time. You've been doing this for how many markets have you seen?
I got
would
it in
say I've seen
2011.
two.
Yeah, I got it in 2011.
So you've seen
I got the tail
three.
end.
Would you call it three, or would you call it two?
Yeah,
Also, it's like
I got the tail end of 2008, 2009. Dealing with the foreclosures and
more like
bankruptcies.
foreclosures and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
those were
Yeah.
still around in 2016. So that was kind of like, still a thing. And then the next year, far less. And then the next year, way far less. It's like all of them got bought by investors in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12. And they're not going anywhere. They're investments. They're going to stay there. They could cash that equity out, but why would they do that? They're living the American dream: buy property, cash flow them, and live in the sunset world. Hire a property manager, collect your money. So they're not going to let go of those houses. So they're not going to come back on the market. Do you agree with that, or I don't know?
Yeah, no, it's just interesting. I mean, even in the last 24 months, the question is, and I think this is why our market in Central Ohio is a little bit different than what the national news is pushing, in the sense of, there's probably not going to be this slowdown in price, and there's not going to be this magical influx of supply, because, how many homeowners where they bought the house as a primary, resident, and they have a sub 3% interest rate, when they go to buy that second home in the future, or their new home, are they going to keep now their primary because they have such a good rate and payment that now they could rent it out and start cash flowing, right? And then there's a whole nother conversation around, the people that were able to do that, but they now have equity in the home, but they can't afford to do anything because of their monthly income doesn't support the new pricing.
Right.
and the new rates, so like, when we're talking to clients, it's really determining who absolutely needs to sell and who absolutely needs to buy. And then there's going to be a big chunk of people that would like the idea of buying and or selling, but they just can't, right? They're not there yet. And Central Ohio is going through a transition, in my opinion, of, we're becoming not quote unquote affordable based off of what we're used to, right? We're a growing city, probably going to be a city that becomes a little bit more renter heavy. We're probably going to be a city where, people are staying in their renting apartments and houses for a lot longer than what we're used to, and as agents, we have to understand that. And that's where those consultations come in, and being that expert, when it comes to the space, and truly being able to say, hey, maybe now is not the best time for you to buy, or maybe now is not the best time for you to sell based off of what you told me.
Yeah, I made a girl cry a couple years ago because she had the pre-approval letter, but she didn't realize that she had to have the money. It was definitely during the appraisal gap time. So she thought that the dream was attainable just because she had qualified for the loan. And I had to tell her, like, the reality is, in your price point, you have to have X dollars to be competitive. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's highly likely. And we're going to use statistics like 99%, like you wouldn't get it. And she just, like, she appreciated it, but it did break her down, and she did cry because she knew that her timeline wasn't the timeline.
Right.
And while you were talking about people renting and staying in rentals, I bet there's a big population that's used to that. I didn't think about it, but from 2008, 9, and 10, there were a lot of foreclosures. So there were a lot of people that were sitting renting because they had to. The clock was set on them. And yeah, maybe they do want to jump back in, but now could they afford it? It's way more than what their rent was.
Yeah. So. Logan, what's something you're looking to do in the next 5 years?
Well, I definitely want to stay in real estate. I don't want to leave this industry for anything. If part of me doesn't want to do the whole marketing thing, but I know that if I did that would grow and sustain my business. I probably could just be a real estate agent for 5 years. But at the same time, I'd like to slow and steady, just help clients as they come, and just not out there to give up that work-life balance yet when it comes to real estate. Now, but again, I want to defend myself as a real estate agent. After 7 years, I feel like I could be a part-time real estate agent and do a really great job. Definitely not that same guy, at month 4 selling my first house, faking it, not knowing how to answer most of the questions, just trying to be a good steward for them. Then you need to be full-time. But once you know all the answers to the questions, I feel like I can juggle multiple things. If Elon Musk can have so many jobs, I can at least have like very small, not as important jobs in multiples, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Logan, what's a legacy goal of yours? What's something that you want to leave behind when you're no longer here?
I do like legacy. I think that being able to leave something behind is cool, and not everybody's going to be able to do it. And if I could leave a real estate business intact for my children when they become of age, I hope they get their license. It was by far the smartest investment I've ever made, as far as return on that money. And so I'd love to have them, an avenue to do real estate. It'd be so cool to be able to work with my family. So it's not anything I'm pushing. It's like sports. Whatever they want to do, I'll let them do. But if I secretly want them to play baseball, I know I need to just back off. If I secretly want them to be my future real estate partners, I just need to back off. And hopefully they decide they want to do it with me.
Yeah. Last question for you. If you could give our audience, one piece of advice, about real estate that either you wish you had in the beginning, or, that you always tell agents about, what would that be?
Do what people tell you to do. For the most part, everybody's got good advice because they're coming with good intentions. But once you start hearing the same things over and over again, those are the things. Doing the things works. So if you want to say, I don't want as much business, then you don't do the things and you won't get it. And if you want the 35, houses in 1 year, then do all those things. And then you'll have to reap what you sow, because it does compound. And what I did in the beginning that didn't look like anything did turn into 17. So yeah, your effort should produce some fruit. So you just get what you put into it. That's what they say. That's real advice. So get what you want out of life.
Awesome. Logan, thanks so much for coming on. For those that
Pleasure.
are listening into the podcast, the audio version of this, what's the best way if someone is a buyer, seller, or just an agent that wants to reach out to you just to talk to you about real estate, pick your brain? What's the best way for someone to connect with you?
My cell phone is 614-216-1980.
Awesome.
614-216-1980. Logan Bravard,
Awesome.
Firesale Homes with Logan.com.
I love it. Thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your journey and your story, and I'm looking forward to connecting with you again here soon.
My pleasure. Keep up the good work.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John.